So our lesson, we're doing that quick recap with figurative language. It's not literal. It's conveying an idea or a message or a meaning. It's not actually happening. So metaphors and similes, they compare two unlike things, but they find something that's similar about them. So they're talking about sizes. He says, you're as skinny as a rail to this guy. And he says, you are a mountain. And so that's how a simile and a metaphor can talk to each other. So similes compare things using words like, as, then. Metaphors compare two things using words like was, is, are, were. Personification gives those human-like actions or feelings to non-human objects. Other things. Similes. So here's an example of each of those. Thomas roared like a lion. So we have Thomas. He's like a lion. Why? Because they roar. They both roar. If we want to say that in a metaphor, we can say Thomas was a lion. Personification. The foot of the chair jumped out and tripped me. The foot of this isn't Fantasia. The foot of the chair is inanimate, but if you're like me, sometimes it feels like they jump out and they trip you. Or you might be walking and then trip and you're like, oh, the floor, it jumped up at me. So we're giving a human-like action to something that's not actually human. Personification. Okay, that's what we did last week. This week, we're adding 3 more terms: hyperbole, alliteration, and onomatopoeia. Hyperbole is a gross exaggeration. I wonder if I can get myself up there. Okay. It stretches the truth. It's not literal. It's often impossible. It's such an exaggeration that you're like, that's not a thing. But they convey that emotion. They're trying to get that idea through to you. They are often similes as well. So it's really important that when you are given a question that says, is this a hyperbole? Sometimes they're also a simile. So here's some examples. I took a 1,000-hour nap. No, you didn't. If you literally took a 1,000-hour nap, you would be in a coma and you'd be in the hospital right now. But we can exaggerate, and now it's a hyperbole. Red Bull gives you wings. No, Red Bull's not going to give you wings. What it will do is it will increase the caffeine content in your bloodstream and make you hyper or less hyper if you have ADHD. I don't know if you knew that. Rob was as tall as a skyscraper. Rob is not actually as tall as a skyscraper, but he might be pretty tall. And this is an example of one of those that is a simile also. So because it has that phrase, as tall as. Okay, here's some other great ones. It's so fluffy, I'm gonna die. That's a hyperbole. You're not actually gonna die because it's so cute, but what you mean is, I'm feeling everything right now. Allergies are so bad this year, I actually blew my nose off. You did not blow your nose off. You cannot sneeze so much that you lose your nose. It's a hyperbole. All this homework is killing me. No. It might be causing you stress, and it might be hurting your brain, but you're going to be fine. In fact, you may be stronger because of it. And the beef is so undercooked that it's starting to eat the salad. If you watch some of those chef shows. My husband actually likes his meat pretty undercooked, and I will make comments like that. I will say, I think I still hear it mooing. Your steak is not done. It's so blue, I can still hear it mooing. Okay, so that's hyperbole, a gross exaggeration. That is figurative language. Alliteration, this is where writers continue to tweak the things that they say, but they do it very intentionally. So alliteration is like a tongue twister, and it's like a tongue twister when it has the beginning sound of a word that repeats throughout a sentence or a phrase. Okay. So alliteration is when you have the same sound getting repeated at the start of each word. So things like Sally sells seashells by the seashore, that is alliteration. Did anybody find another tongue twister? If you found a tongue twister, drop it in the chat and I will try to say it. Here's a couple that I found. Princess Peach's portly plumber properly pounded Petey the piranha plant. And then we've got our Betty bought butter, but the butter was bitter, so Betty bought the better butter to make the bitter butter better. So we have P's that are repeating here. We have a B sound, a B sound that's repeating. And then it doesn't always have to be like a cutesy fun tongue twister. Really, whenever there is 2 or more repeating sounds, it can be considered alliteration. So curious cats can catch a cold. That's alliteration because we have that k sound. Frogs frequently frolic in fresh water. We have the f sound. Even when it's a vowel. 11 elegant elephants and an elderly elk. That's alliteration. Okay, so it's that starting sound getting repeated. The last one that we're going to look at today is onomatopoeia. And this is when words sound like what they describe. This is often used in sound effects. This is when a word sounds like a sound. So here's some examples. Squeak. That squeak is supposed to imitate like the hinge squeaking. Ding dong, that's supposed to imitate a bell ringing. We've got rip, toot, murmur, screech, pow, pop, rattle, zip, thud, bang, roar, twang, squirt, blare, clink. I love squish. Squish. I think squish is a great one because you can almost like hear and see a boot walking through something squishy. So if you read graphic novels or if you read comic books, then you probably see these. The boom, pow, crack, pow. Other ones, whisper, clap, pop. That the word pop is supposed to sound like pop. Yeah, try it. Some of you can do that cool like water thing. I can't do that. So to recap, this is what we're adding to. Hyperboles are an over-exaggeration. So gross, I don't mean icky. Gross is like mega, like a lot. So a hyperbole is an exaggeration. Alliteration is when you have the repeating sound in the start of the word. And onomatopoeia is the word a sound makes. So if we add that with what we already know with similes, metaphor, and personification, this is going to be like, I like to call it the money page. Like this is the page that you want to write down in the notes that you're taking, right? Yeah. This is the money page. Okay. So it has all the definitions on one. What we're going to do now is we're going to play Kahoot and try your hand at it.